In this video, we will talk about retargeting, but we're not talking about retargeting in general because there are a lot of legit videos here on YouTube how retargeting works. But in this video, we will talk about retargeting in combination with native advertising traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain, how retargeting works in particular, and with which traffic sources additionally retargeting makes sense if you run native ads. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of Purple Black, a native advertising only agency. So what we're doing on a daily basis is we run native ads on traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, Yahoo Gemini and many more. In the last couple of years, I found my own method to use retargeting, because you might notice when you're in marketing that people, gurus on YouTube or in their courses will recommend you that you have to run a lot of retargeting ads because people just will buy on the 6th or 7th contact point. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure that this sometimes works, but our goal at Purple Black, at my agency, is to convince a completely cold audience just within a few clicks without 100 retargeting campaigns, because usually we want the quick conversions. Therefore, we have a different funnel, of course. So it's not comparable with a social funnel on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. No, that's definitely not the kind. But therefore, we have to use other tactics for retargeting. So in general, retargeting on native is possible. But as mentioned before, first of all, our focus is on prospecting. So with native ads, we want to convince a completely cold audience, which never heard about the product, the service, the company, or which don't even know maybe 2 minutes ago that they might have an issue. So we want to convince this audience through an advertorial into people who are ready to buy. And therefore, we're using things like an advertorial. Therefore, we're using copywriting with some psychological trigger points. And our focus is more on prospecting than on retargeting. But of course, retargeting in general is sometimes important, but sometimes, to be honest, not. So we also have some clients where we don't even run retargeting campaigns because it doesn't make sense for them. It would be too expensive to convince a lead, a purchase or a prospect after the third or fourth contact point. Therefore, first of all, focus on native is in prospecting, not on retargeting. But of course, there is retargeting and there are multiple options for retargeting. First option, you use Taboola or Outbrain for retargeting. Yes, that's possible. So you can retarget people who already visit your site, visit your shop. That's possible in general or technically. But unfortunately, it's not possible from the very beginning, or I don't recommend you to use it from the very beginning. So usually it makes sense, or the rule of thumb here, when retargeting makes sense if you have more than 10,000 page visits. So let's make a sample. Let's say you have a completely new Taboola or Outbrain account and you start completely from scratch. And you will receive, after a few $100, the first clicks, the first conversions, and everything is looking fine. And then you want to use retargeting. Doesn't make sense to start retargeting with Taboola or Outbrain? Usually not, because unfortunately you will not have in the very beginning 10,000 page visits or trigger points from the pixel. So therefore you have to wait very long time usually until you have or you have to invest a lot of money, until you have the 10,000 visits on your website. Technically, it works also with just 3 or 4 or 5,000 people on your website, but it doesn't make sense, to be honest. But there's other strategy or tactics. So we at Purple Black are using, of course, sometimes retargeting of native ads traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain. But it makes more sense, in my personal opinion, to use native ads as a prospecting channel and to use something like Google Display Network or also Facebook ads for retargeting. Because in retargeting, we saw that they're converting way better than Outbrain prospecting and Outbrain in retargeting, or Taboola in prospecting and Taboola in retargeting. For us, it's in general, so over a lot of clients, it's a better approach to use Taboola and Outbrain for prospecting, but then to use Google Display Network or Meta ads for retargeting. That's the way better approach in e-commerce, in lead gen. But it's always very important to understand that it's very hard to see where people are coming from originally. When you have different agencies, for example, on Taboola and on Meta, Meta will, or the Meta agency in general, will use the cheap retargeting prospects to say, hey, we have great results. We at Purple Black, we in our agency, are therefore not using retargeting to optimize our campaigns. So therefore we're just really focusing on prospecting. It's the harder way, definitely yes, 100% agree, but regularly it's the cheaper way because you have to retarget a person, and that means you have to reinvest to convince this person. Usually when you need in native advertising 3, 4 or 5 contact points or touch points, the advertorial is not as strong as it could be, because when you have a good ad with a high click-through rate, and when you have a good converting advertorial and a good offer, then it's a very easy situation here that someone is making a purchase from the very first touch point, not just after the 6th or 5th or 7th contact point. So you see, retargeting on native ad traffic sources works a bit differently. My personal recommendation is to use native ads as a prospecting channel, but to use GDN or Meta ads as a retargeting channel if you want to retarget people. As mentioned before in this video, we have a lot of clients who are not using retargeting because we are able to convince in the prospecting campaign people on a very, very cheap level thanks to native advertising. I hope you liked that video and it gives you a little bit more insights about retargeting on Taboola and Outbrain. If so, I would extremely appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, and of course when you subscribe to my channel and activate your bell to receive updates when I upload a new video about native ads here on YouTube. Have a good one, see you next time.